I'm informed that we are now filming. So I'd like to talk in this segment about something that I think you'll find is both a lot of fun and possibly interesting. We're going back to the year 1960. Yes, that's in the last century, a mere almost 51 years ago. Anyway, in 1960, what was I doing? I was working for a construction company as a field engineer on what went on to become Dulles International Airport, located on the outskirts of Washington, D.C. And Dulles was a big job that got started during the Cold War because in the Blue Ridge Mountains, somewhat north and west of Washington, D.C., an underground Pentagon was actually built, so that if the H-bombs that were being threatened by both Russia and the United States and maybe China by 1957, if H-bomb war started, the United States government would hopefully be able to continue in this underground Capitol Pentagon building located deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Now, if I had told about that in 1960, that would have been considered a security leak. Now I think they take tourists through it. But in those days it was very important so that if there was a red alert, the government could flee to the underground Pentagon. And Dulles Airport was not only supposed to be an airport for Washington, D.C., but it was built with extra thick runways and extra long runways so that it could handle the kinds of heavily loaded B-52 bombers that would be carrying H-bombs to Russia and other places, could land and take off from what later became Dulles International Airport. It was originally called Chantilly International Airport because Chantilly, Virginia, was one of the first battles of the Civil War in the United States took place in 1860. Anyway, so I was working on the airport as a field engineer, and in 1960 we were working on the terminal building for that airport. When I got word that there was going to be an advanced clinical course at the organization in Washington, D.C., and that L. Ron Hubbard himself would probably be delivering the course, and it was going to be the 22nd Advanced Clinical Course. And those were a big deal in Scientology because in those courses, Ron experimented with the ideas he had for making clears and OTs, as well as auditors that could really audit. And here was a clinical course which ran 6 weeks, 5 days a week and 5 evenings a week. And so I had this great job with great pay, but when I heard the call once again from the round table, and King Arthur, King Ron, said, "Come on, guys, we're going to have another go at becoming great knight errants," I said to my boss, "Boss, I know that you want me to continue." This was right in the middle of winter, too, and we were working on the terminal building, but I got something I got to do in Washington, D.C., so I hope you will understand that I have to leave this job. And I did. And I enrolled for the 22nd Advanced Clinical Course, and because I had paid once for the 18th Advanced Clinical Course, there was no charge for me to do this course. You see, Ron was not just interested in money. Here was someone who had actually done an advanced clinical course and did the things necessary to become called a doctor of Scientology, perish the thought. But here I was, I'm going to do another clinical course, and I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be quite a wild affair. So I want to tell you a little bit about it. I don't know, there were probably 60 or 80 people that showed up to do the course. Most of them were people who had been in Scientology for quite a while. And it turned out that Ron himself was in, I think, Melbourne, Australia, doing an advanced clinical course in Melbourne. So he entrusted the 22nd clinical course in the United States to two extremely capable people, Jan and Dick Halpern. These were people that could duplicate and communicate for L. Ron Hubbard so closely and so well that it was almost like having the old man there. And that was good enough for me. Now, here's something that those of you that might be interested in the technology might be interested in. One of the things that we were going to do on this clinical course was to totally invade the privacy of a person. All the things that people keep to themselves, the things that they say, I would never, ever want anyone to know this about me. The thoughts I've had, the things I've done, the things I've been. There are certain things in these areas that almost every human being has a certain number of them that they would almost rather be dead than have them publicly, like Phil Spickler once. Oh, God, no, I'd rather be dead than have that known. So here we were, 80 people, and we were going to spend the first 2 or 3 weeks working on a process that went something like this. What have you done that you're now withholding that explains a particular condition you're in? This was all based on the idea that in the physical universe there's cause and effect. It's true that there may be states of consciousness or places in the universe you can be where that is not necessarily a law. But most of the time, in the physical universe, if you go like that, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you do something harmful, somewhere along the way, you may find it coming back to you. Time wounds all heals. It doesn't just heal all wounds, it wounds all heals. So the overt act, the harmful thing, the withhold, and then eventually something coming back to the person for what they did. Now, a lot of times something happens to a person and they'll say, what did I do to deserve that? I never did anything like that. Well, they may be telling the truth. They may have done something that is a little bit below their willingness to remember. They may have trouble finding what it was, but it's often true that when something happens, let's say to me, I say, oh, I didn't deserve that, or oh, how come I was treated so badly, or why did I break my leg? Why did I have to spend a year in bed as a child because I had rheumatic fever? Why did L. Ron fire me from auditing and put me in an admin post? Why did my first wife think I won't get into that any further. But anyway, all these things that I can say happened to me, which we in Scientology call motivators. They are things I use to explain why I'm in this condition. Why did I have allergies? Why was I afraid of the dark? Why this? Why that? All these things. Well, there's a theory in Scientology and in lots of other philosophies that what you do in life, especially if you do something you really think you shouldn't have done, it's like, oh, I shouldn't have hurt that person, but I did it anyway. But on the other hand, they had it coming. If you get into things like that, you are setting yourself up eventually to get the effect of that cause. And then you're going to say, why did it happen to me? What did I do to deserve that? Okay, so this ACC was designed to help you find out what it was you did and why and how you happen to be withholding it, so that the condition of, like, why is one side of my face twisted, or why can't I get up in front of people and talk, and why do women steer clear of me, things like that. We were going to look for the answers to why you were a victim why you said, well, in this case, I was really a victim. I didn't have it coming. I never deserved that. We were going to find out if you had done something at some point in your life that would explain why you were getting what was due to you.